If I ruled the world, I love 'em, baby.
If I Rule the World podcast welcomes Ras Kass. What's up, my brother?
Oh, man, chilling, man.
So where are you calling from right now?
I just flew in from Vancouver, Canada. I'm back in LA, La La Land.
Ah, La La Land. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So your record's been out about a week, right? Soul
Yep,
Nice 2.
correct.
It's a phenomenal record. We can't stop listening to it and talking about it. And one of the things we were curious about, because I've seen you on a lot of interviews, doing a lot of podcasts, it's your rollout right now. And we were curious, in 2019, what does a rollout look like for you for this record? You know, you've had a long history of rollouts. What is it like for you today?
Oh, man, this one is a lot more fun, primarily because my circumstances are different.
Okay.
I was, I'm sure Sway and Tech from the Wake Up Show, now Sway from Shade 45 and the Hot 97, he'd be able to tell you that, I was under duress. They met me when I was like a young, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed kid. And then I got into the music business. I love the music. I just got into the business of it, and I got, disappointed. It was just really bad, like horrible people and shit.
Yeah.
And so, I was really like, going through all that and coming out the other side is now kind of like I'd re-met myself. So this is like, I'm excited to do interviews because I have things I want to talk about, and it ain't all like, this is horrible and you don't want to be in it. Like, they were like my therapist. Like, I used to have to, like, I needed a couch to lay there and just tell them all the stuff I was experiencing. But this is a lot cooler because I'm basically, I write as therapy. This album was therapy in me to be able to look at the past 25 years of my life and to say I made it no matter what, and I'm actually better for it. So yeah, this rollout is cool, and it's podcasts. I just enjoyed them. I just think the format is
the format's great.
Yeah, the format is just so much doper, especially when you're talking to people that actually care about the music. A lot of times, and they're not like struggling for controversy or,
right.
What's your favorite color, or what kind of car do you drive now?
Yeah, what is your favorite color, though?
That's one of the questions.
Yeah, all right, let me scratch that one off.
Yeah, scratch that one off, please.
But, another thing that you've been doing is, so the label, Mellow Music, kind of, so it picked up a lot of like steam, like the last couple of years. I know Cool Keith is on there, which I had on my other show. That dude that's another
amazing
guy, right? He's still putting out great shit.
Man.
Mr. Liff is on there, OC, and 5 years ago, you and another dude on there, Apollo Brown, put out Blasphemy, which for the most part, up to that point, I got to tell you, like that album blows me the fuck away. His samples are, I mean, it's fucking genius. Like I stumbled across him when he did the work with Ghostface and Adrian Young.
Okay, yeah, that shit was dope too. Yes,
right.
Yes,
that shit.
Yes.
It sounded like Portishead.
Right.
You
know what? That's a great comparison.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it was. Like, you see it, and then he did the remix of it, and I'm like, yo, let me keep my eye out on Apollo Brown. And then he works with you. You guys release like Humble Pie, Strawberry, right? Strawberry. Like, what a great fucking song. And a lot of the lyrical content seemed to, I know you wanted to call the album How to Kill God, which is like wild in itself, but you went with Blasphemy, which is obviously the second best choice. But, so, like, what was the motivation for that record? Because those records seem kind of specific as far as like.
Well, if I could be perfectly honest.
Sure.
So I went to prison in 2004. Mm-hmm. And whatever, I'm in prison. I got like another year. So maybe I went to prison in 2003. Around 2004, I'm I'm constantly talking to my manager at the time, and I'm talking to my friends, and like I spend like 2 hours a day, like on the phone, like, hey, what are y'all doing? They're like, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing, obviously. That's why I'm talking to you all day. But Exhibit one day he's like, man, you gotta do like Tupac. He wrote 100 songs, and you gotta write 100 songs. I'm like, bro, I don't want to write. I haven't wrote nothing. I'm just in here, just like biding my time to get out. He's like, write 100 songs, or I'm like, okay. So I write the 100 songs, and then I just quit. Like,
Wow.
I finally, when I hit it, I was like, I'm done. Now I wrote the songs like Tupac. Now I quit. So I didn't write anymore. And fast forward, 2016, and I'm with, me. Apollo started giving me these beats. So he's giving me like maybe giving me 3 each time. He's saying like, I want to give you the beats ahead of time a little bit, but I want to come in and, record with you. But I didn't tell him that I was just writing, and I was kind of like picking all the beats. He didn't know that. So I was like, everything he kept sending me was crazy, and it just was speaking to me. And so probably like the 3rd batch, I was like, look, bro, let me just be honest with you. I got like 7 songs already.
Yeah.
I've recorded them because it was just, like for me, it's like I write it and I have to get it out my system, or else I can't really move on. So I had to just kind of record them to get them done and out of my system so I could keep my creative juices flowing. And some of the things I didn't write on, actually, some of them probably not the first, but out of beats, maybe 4 songs from that 100 that I'd written. So I'd written How to Kill God, and that's when I figured it out. So I kind of had went out with some friends, had some drinks, and then I called Apollo. I was like, look, man, let me just be, let me be honest with you. I know the name of the title of this album. I had these, I'd written those songs. I was like, so I've kind of recorded about, 6 or 7. And the name of the album is called How to Kill God. And I've already got them. So here, just check them out. And then he flew in like, oh shit. And then he flew in and we did the rest. But yeah, man, like literally, some of those records were like, for me, it's like, they're already in my DNA. It's almost like, like nobody tells a turtle how to swim. It just knows how to crawl out of the egg, walk to the sand, and jump to the water, and it just becomes. So for me, it's like that shit is already in there. And then sometimes I'm looking for the right music to go with these feelings that I've had or these thoughts that I've had. Mm-hmm. And then, the other times it's the total reverse where the music comes and it tells me what to write. So with me, my homeboy Curtis at Patchworks in Atlanta, he says that Apollo's my soulmate. He's like, you guys just work. But I was like,
he's right.
I was like, nah, I think that he's everybody's soulmate. He's just really dope. So
yo, emphasis on soul, because the samples he was pulling, there's certain records that you listen to and listen, hip hop evolves, and that's just what it is. Right. But sometimes you put on a record that just has those beats that just brings you where you're like, God damn, like that is hip fucking pop. And when I put that record on, you hear the crackle. I just feel like you shined hard. Like you're
Thank you.
Man, you I don't know. I'll stop with that record because it's so damn good.
I know. You like taking people to the old stuff. No, it's all good.
Yeah,
I stand behind that record, man. It's just an amazing job. We ain't finished yet. We got other plans and shit. So, it's just, like I said, he's everybody's soulmate. He's such a creative that, to over bother him. Like I like him shining and then me shining, and then we come back in and we Voltron up. We're going to Voltron up sooner than later again. So, I'm always excited. Well, we already got a couple of things, that you guys haven't heard yet. We're
waiting. I just want to touch on, so I remember, just from listening to doing a lot of research, what Dre said to you, where he said, you have this ability to basically observe what's going on in the room. And then when you go in the booth, it's able to come out in your raps. And I don't think you noticed that. So that was the approach that I wanted to do with George as far as like talking about your new record. So
yes, sir.
I want to talk about Soul on Ice. And what I did with George was we pulled questions out of the songs. So that way we could hyper focus on the album. But before we do that first question, what makes something a sequel? I know what makes a movie a sequel. What makes an album a sequel? Like, why now? Because like you released SOI the intellectual property record.
Right.
So I thought that might have been the sequel, but this seems to be the official sequel.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big, I'm a big Star Wars nerd, so it was going to be a trilogy no matter what. And intellectual property is kind of, I'm the kid that needs therapy in Solo Nights 1, the original.
Yeah.
2 is kind of acknowledging there's a problem. And then this is the resolution. So, to be fair, it is Solo Nights 2, but it's the third in a line because I understood my intellectual property. I understood who I was, and I have kids, and I'm like, my mortality, I'm facing all that shit, and I'm like, with IP, and people weren't even talking, especially not in rap. They were talking about brands, but they didn't understand intellectual property. And for me, it was about what is my legacy to my twin boys? Like, what do I leave to this world? And that's what IP is about. And how do I make myself whole through some of the things I've been through? Some self-orchestrated, and then others, external factors. But for this to be the full, I guess IP, you could look at it as an end credit scene, maybe, in a Marvel movie.
Gotcha.
And then for this to be the actual sequel, I don't really have that answer. I can only tell you that I was working on a different project, and then this shit started leaking out. It's kind of the same thing. Like, I'm a very organic person. I'm not very good at being not being who I am. If I'm not feeling okay with something, I have to express it. I have to tell people, like, I'm the elephant caller. If it's in the room and I see the elephants, I will tell you. I've always been that human being. And so I was working on a different album, and everything that was kind of coming out was like, oh, you feel like this. I was like, it's time now. So I didn't choose Solo Nights 2 as today. It wasn't my plan. I had a different strategy and plan about what I was trying to do. It just felt it was time to do it, and it was the songs that I was making. The songs were telling me, oh, this is Solo Nights 2, and so that's what I did. I did, like, put other records, and I was just like, focus on this. This is, and I still didn't even know what it was. I didn't know what Solo Nights 2 was. I know I didn't want to try to recreate some shit that I've already done, because that's the one thing I really don't like about expectations is, like, do that same thing you did again. Like, people would always say, like, you should do another Nature of the Threat. I'm like, that's whack. That's corny. Why would I do that? But then when I'm organically writing this White Power record, or I'm writing, Opioid Crisis, I'm like, oh, okay, now this is the natural evolution of where I should be.
Sure. Yeah, we're totally gonna get to all that, and I just want to make a point, because we're both musicians as well. Like, man, it's hard. Like, when you're a musician, you want to play your new shit. As the audience member, you're standing there waiting for the old shit. But, like, when you like, we're in a band, so it's like, oh, like, you guys got to hear this new record, and everyone's like, I like that old shit though.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's the nostalgia factor, and we associate it with good experiences, and we were younger, and it's that reflective stuff. So I get it. My goal was to look in the mirror, reflect about the past, celebrate the journey, but be very forward thinking. And that was the whole goal of this album. Like, even sonically, I wanted it to be a hip hop album, but to feel nostalgic, to feel, boom bap, but to be bigger, to be 2025. That was the goal.
Yeah, you covered it all. We're actually let's talk about the record. So,
yeah, let's dig into it a little bit. It opens up with Silver Anniversary, 25 years from the time you dropped your first single, Remain Anonymous. Was that a goal? Was that a goal?
To remain anonymous.
Yeah.
Well, to remain anonymous. Nah, it was, I'm always good for the acronym. So it really, Remain Anonymous spells Ras, R, and then the anonymous, and then, yeah. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, you gave thanks to Chino XL and Vinny Paz on there.
Yeah,
what's your relationship with those guys?
Chino is my brother. Vinny's my brother.
You did.
Yeah, man. It just really, like, I was talking to Vinny a couple of days ago because I wanted, I wasn't sure if he had heard the record, so I wanted to send it to him and just tell him thank you. He's just a really good human being, man. Same thing with Chino, man. And we've been on this journey, and people don't have to care about you, And it was just, for me, it was, again, it's looking in that mirror and looking in the past and saying who was there for you and who's still with you, and and thank you, and say some thank you. So a lot of it was assessing the present. I'm always going to do my socio-political, discussion, philosophy, but the other part is like it's been it's a great journey, man. And I met I came into this as a fan. I'm going to leave out of this as a fan. So it was really cool to be able to shout out people who I'm fans of their music and also them personally.
And those two in particular, Chino XL, you guys did the right song together, and Rise of the Machines on Visions of Gandhi, which I believe you might have done from prison, right?
No, I did it before. I did it before, and then right before I went to prison, and then they remixed it.
Okay.
And then I'm on Vinny's
you're on Cornerstone. Man.
Yeah.
Was that a Funk Dubious sample?
Yes, it was.
Shit, Son Doobie. Is he still doing porn?
Shouts out, Son. Yes, it was.
So we're going to kick it up to the second song. So Grammy Speech, which is produced by the legendary Diamond D. Also, totally synonymous with your career because
exactly.
I feel like his remix of Soul on Ice. Speaking of Portishead, I feel like that beat has a that little guitar has that. It just has that tinge, right?
You know what it is? It's that spaghetti western shit. It's actually Italian fucking, it's those shits.
Yeah, for sure. So what I like about that, I mean, listen, it's just funny in a way that you said you're not going to win a Grammy, so you make a song where you're given a Grammy speech, but also it's the second time where you mention nature of the threat, and one of the lines is Raz is a racist. He don't like white people. I don't like stupid ass black or white people quite equal.
Right.
So second song, and you mentioned that song. I know that in a way, what we write when we're kids, years later, just maybe sounds
we may regret, right?
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of times you've mentioned that. So what is your relationship with that song now?
Oh no, shit. Nature of the threat still more relevant than ever. I said in the first song.
Yep.
Yeah, I have no regrets. I stand on that record. There's a couple of little fixes, but that's about it. You go back like, I didn't put the comma here, or I didn't catch the fact that I didn't phrase this right. So it sounds run on, and people could read it wrong. But no, the record is the record.
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
Not,
and
it's not a lot of opinion in it. I mean, it's a thesis paper, so it starts with an opinion. Is it the most politically nicest way to say something? No, but is it fucking true? Yes.
You're the elephant whisperer.
Yeah, yes, I am.
Elephant in the room whisperer, right?
Yeah.
So let's jump to song number 3.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to add on to that.
Sure.
I watch whether it's MSNBC, NBC, CNN. I don't watch what you call them as much because it's just a little more boring. But it's awesome to start having this dialogue because of the state of our country.
Yeah.
Where historians and it's the human family. But I've been saying shit that nobody really wants to say in public.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And now to have white historians and, and scholars that say, no, this is true. And we haven't, the original sin, we've kind of wanted to brush it under the rug. And this is the chickens coming on the roofs. So I feel validated in the fact that, fuck, bro, I told you so. I'm not a prophet. I'm just fucking telling you what we all see, but nobody wants to admit it. And when I say it, you say I'm an asshole. That's pretty fucked up of you, but it doesn't make me feel bad. And you can ostracize me because of that, but doesn't make it any less true.
Which kind of parlays it into Midnight Sun. A lot of those lyrics really are, I mean, it's a pretty deep record. Could you elaborate on what you were going for with that?
Well, Midnight Sun was about destroying their facades. They don't even exist. This white thing, and I'm not the color of a tire, and neither is white people the color of paper. So they're fucking made up constructs. And then if we even do biblical or scientific, there's no such thing as white people. There is no white race. There's not. There's not an Asian race. Everybody evolved from the same fucking foundation. Unless you become a mutant nigga and you can fly, you ain't no fucking different.
Brightburn.
Right. Yeah, and he was an alien. So unless you were the Anunnaki, motherfucker, get out of here. You ain't special.
Shout out to Brightburn.
And a bright burn. Literally.
Midnight Sun.
But and so what I was going for was to pull those apart, to kind of pull apart those constructs. And then also, it's just more science. There's just certain things that I say. I say Noble, what he drew on paper, Ali do. So there's Noble Drew Ali brought Islam here in like 1890 something or whatever. I'm probably fucking that date off. It's probably 1912ish or something. So he was an African. I forgot what country. I'm a horrible person right now. Anyway, Noble Drew Ali.
Someone correct you in the notes.
Yeah, someone's correcting us in the episode.
Will. So I'm dropping more science throughout the record, purposely. That song was some people are Masons, so they drop, and then Masonry, although even Scottish Rite Masonry still comes from Egyptian mystery school. So I'm dropping that kind of science where more a Mason would understand some of the science that I'm dropping in it. So some of the things are going to go over the average layman's head.
Yeah.
But I try to make it, understandable in general, but even Jesus spoke in parables, right? So yeah, some of it is parables. But for the most part, I wanted it to be a loving song. That's why I chose, the Olympics are, multi-platinum with Rick Ross and whatever, and I'm blessed to have worked with them. Actually, Diamond D connected me with them, and it was just I wanted a positive, Nature the Threats and even White Power. They have, and I like really moody, Portisheady beats. I always have. I like Duran is kind of spooky, their music to me.
Yeah, for sure.
And I fucks with that shit. That's always spoken to my soul. But I wanted something that was more celebratory.
Yeah,
and
that production
that's what it was about, was celebrating our unity as human beings, understanding that the science of it is everything by the equator, the sun is darker. So we are the whole idea of dark being the bad thing is actually historically proven to be they changed that. Everything, ghosts are white and that's spooky, and the evil stone in Judaism and in Islam was the white stone. It's just historically factual. So I understand why as a culture Western civilization had to flip that upside down. But just the natural state of the universe, if it's really dark, things get paler if there's no sun. So we are the midnight sun. The sun shines, and we are the dark thing that gets melanated, and it's a battery. And not to be ashamed that we're the original state of human beings. So it was that too, to celebrate that.
Heavy. Let's do number 4 then.
I dig it. Yeah, number 4. FLY, produced by legendary Green Lantern. It's a great beat. It's like an instant head nodder. So it stands for Fuck Last Year, which it's like, is this fair to say it's like a philosophy of yours? You always seem like you're moving forward, and it just seems like a philosophy.
No. Honestly, it's not even that deep. So Prince, 1999. I don't know when it came out, probably 85, but I was like, this motherfucker has created the hit New Year's record forever. For at the time in my brain, that was forever. Like 1999 is never gonna come. And for the life of me, I've been trying to figure out how to do a New Year's record. I'm like, how do I do a fucking New Year's record that is not corny?
That's funny.
Yeah, it's literally that. So I could never figure it out. Green gives me this beat. I start writing it, and then it hits me. I'm like, fuck last year. Yeah. Yeah, fuck last year. I'm like, fly. Yeah. Acronym kid. So I was just like, okay, that's fuck.
It's great.
So yeah, man. It's actually thanks to Green, because we went through different we'll work together, and like my brain was kind of like, let's have some fun, because people would expect us to do like this really hard record, and then he works with Griselda. I was like, I was wrong. I was like, let's try. So we had some fun, and we made some other records, and then Green was just like, Raz, I want to hear you over like spin some of that shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, here. He just sent me the beat. I was like, oh, say no more. I got it.
Yeah. Yo, that because the beat.
I was like, you were right. I was wrong. I wanted to have fun, but this is the shit we need to do.
It's
and yeah. And then I gunned down. He gunned down on the beat. I gunned down. I was really happy with the lyrics, and then it hit me like somewhere writing the first verse. I was like, oh, this is my New Year's record. And so that's the goal of that record, man. It's just like, in hip hop, we're fly, you dress fly, and then, time flies when you're having fun, and fly, fuck last year, the acronym. So that's it.
And it's still great, like, because like I said, when, George and I, George used to play in bands, I still write music. It's still never not awesome when you finally get that chorus, or you get that right progression where you're like you said, you came to that realization, and you're like, fuck last year, this is it. And you start writing, and that beat, man, is one of my favorite beats on the record. It just has that like bounce, and it's just grimy, and it's got that little pitch shift too.
Yeah.
But
you know what? I thought it was, which is why we I felt like it reminded me of Clockwork Orange, that movie. I don't know why. Like when I heard the beat, which is why I tried to duplicate that in the video, I was just like, it just sounds like mechanisms turning, like old, like yeah, man, like steampunk shit. I don't know, it's just weird. So I definitely fuck
sinister as fuck, and completely different to I don't really know the Justice League production team, but you have 2 records with them, so I'm gonna point them out now, which is Street Superstar, and the other one has a weird spelling, which is what with the shits.
With the shits.
With the shits. Yo.
Yep.
Okay, so here's my take on these two.
Okay.
Super modern sounding. The latter of the two might be one of my favorite songs on the record, like top 3. It's so, I don't know what, like, it just very modern sounding, but like with you, like I'm gonna liken it to this. Beck made a record.
Okay.
Beck made a record last year called Colors, where he took these really modern sounds, but he is such a smart songwriter that it sounded modern, but with superior songwriting. So it's the same thing with you. Like, you take this modern sounding production that if you give it to anyone else might sound kind of whack, but like you're such a fucking great songwriter and lyricist that it's like the best of both worlds. So I don't know if you want to elaborate on Street Superstar.
Yeah, man. Well, Justice League, they did one of my favorite fucking records. They did Aston Martin music for Rick Ross and Drake. Okay. And I used to just drive around and fucking play that record like literally on repeat. It was like my theme music. Like every once in a while, I'll find this record and it wasn't even a single yet. It was like you had to buy the extended version of the album, and then you would get it. And I've just been a fan, ever since. And they're actually, what they are is, I would say, this is what I like in Justice League for people that don't know. Justice League they're Miami and New York dudes that have bigger production. So it's like Dre. Dre takes these boom bap beats and then he expands them and gets them bigger, and the dynamics of them and the sounds, and he has these live instrumentation. So the records become, orchestral almost. And that's what I love about them, because it's almost easy listening, because it's so melodic and
so
beautiful.
Melodic. Well, what the shits,
man.
Yo, what the shits is like, you could play that shit on the radio, like 100%. Like that's a big record.
Yeah, man. And to me, like, specifically Street Superstar is kind of like, on the first album, to me it was marinating.
Okay.
It was like I'm chilling when I'm drinking and I got a little
Oh yeah, for
chick.
sure.
Yeah, so that is a part of my personality, and that record for me is so pretty. For me, it's so West Coast, rolling and cruising like fucking down Malibu with the top down, bad bitch. Like that's that record for me. And then with the shits was it was totally like turned in like a newer kind of record, and I wanted that because all the producers that know me, whether it's Dr. Dre or Diamond D or Premier, they know my range, and unfortunately, because of my career previous path, I wasn't able to showcase my range. I'm capable of writing fucking pop. I can do anything I want to do. I can't sing, but I can write the shit.
I mean,
and so for me, it was I'm not gonna ever let people put me in a box again. It's my life, it's my journey, and I make the shit I want to make. I did a trap record, as you could, I'm sure we'll get to it.
We'll get to
I
it.
do what the fuck I want to do, because once I put my essence on it, I define the record based on what I say. The music is the platform, but it's the bread. But then I get to put the meat and the condiments, and I can make this a Reuben. I can make this a fucking, chicken, Parmesan, whatever the fuck. It's up to me. And so that's what we did with the shits, which is it's a very LA term. It's really like who about their business, who with that gangster shit. Okay. That's what it means. Okay. Like, so yeah, I'm like with the shits. And so it was a pretty record, and I wanted to go against the grain on it and say, like, this is so pretty, I could make this really like, what up, girl? How you doing? I'm like, fuck that. We gonna do some hood shit. Yeah. It's still gonna be easily listened. Like, the girls will be able to hear it and be like, the beat is dope. But we gonna take them on some hood shit. So sometimes I like to, juxtapose a pretty track with hard lyrics.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, listen, for anyone who rapped to a Doors sample like you did on Kill the Messenger, you can pretty much do anything.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right, we'll jump to the next song. Let's talk about white power.
Hey,
yes, sir.
There's a phrase you don't wind up saying every day.
Yeah.
Sam wants me to talk about this one because I'm the whitest guy he knows.
Yeah. I'm the Spanish guy. I'm the Spanish guy. He's the white guy.
Yeah. So it features Immortal Technique.
Yes, sir.
And you've referred to yourself as the elephant in the room whisperer. Yes. And the song really pulls the covers off of a lot of uncomfortable feelings. It's a very, very heavy song. I wanted to ask you, though, it closes out with that woman saying, we're all one race, the human race. Who is she?
Man, her name eludes me. She's a professor at the Ivy League, white woman. Mm-hmm. She's amazing though. She just bars people up with. She's like, I saw her a long time ago on Oprah, and she was just talking about race and all that stuff. Man. She just wanted, like, she's
legit.
Yeah, she's just legit, fair, and tells the truth. And she's not like, she's not like a big political person, or like, she's just a scientist. She's just like, yeah, this is who we are, and this is what the history and and why we need to be better people. She's not like, she doesn't have like an Afro wig, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's not like trying to be something she's not. She's like this little old white lady, and she's just smart and tells it like it is. She's just awesome. And I'll track down her name because it eludes me right now, but I hopefully before we can do a little addendum and be like, oh, her name is blah blah blah.
For sure.
Shout out to whoever she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll keep moving. So Shark Week. This was one of the videos. I believe this might have been the second video that you put out, or maybe yeah, okay, because Guns N' Roses was the first. Now this is one of those things for like straight up like hip hop nerds like us.
Awesome.
This is just like this is just barring people for sure. But also like you fuck with the time signature. But then one of my favorite lines right here. All right, career MC. I ain't never had a job. You mumble rap. You 23 with a dad bod. Damn God, do anything to get your face seen, even floating face down on the mainstream. Motherfucking goddamn. Look at you. So, what made you want to fuck with the time signature?
So the ironic part is I had long time ago, 1990, 7. Dr. Dre brings me in, and this is before he's even actually called it Aftermath. And I'm just a kid. And, Mike Lynn, who would be his president, he knew me, and they bring me in, and I'm like over there writing with Dre, and he's like, "So what you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm probably gonna work on my second album, which would be Ras Assassination." I'm like, "I think the company's gonna pick up the option," and da 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 da. And then and then I'm like, "I got this really crazy idea." I was like 4-4-3-4 time, and Dre's like, "Damn, that could be crazy." And I'm like, but back then you got to just keep in mind that we were dealing with
Reel to reel,
4-inch reels.
Yeah.
It wasn't digital. So he's like, damn, how would you do it? Because you got to edit and cut. You'd have to probably snip it and cut it, and then you rap over it. So, it was just all the technical logistics that were kind of challenging. And then I forgot about it. And, obviously he forgot about it. And I was working on the solo nights too, man. And I hit me again. It took fucking 20 fucking plus years. I was just like, probably 20 or whatever. And I was just like, yo, man, like nobody's still like everybody claims they're so cutting edge and everybody's so fucking overly creative and they get all these awards. And I'm like, that's just kind of, no different. No, fuck it. I mean, if the shoe fits, find a matching purse. But to get all this acclaim from the Academy or the grant, like, get the fuck out of here. Motherfuckers ain't doing shit. It's got a lot of money and a lot of buzz. Like, be creative. Do some dope. Just be. I mean, I give Nas credit. Like, he'll do something creative and challenging, and Andre 3000, and but a lot of motherfuckers ain't that fucking creative, bro.
Yo, Andre 3000 on the new Anderson .Paak, man, his verse. Did you hear that yet?
Yeah, man. Incredible.
Like, that's, I mean, Anderson, that's another dude. Like,
he's nasty, and he can rhyme and play drums. I don't even know how you do that. It's crazy.
Smokey Robinson on a track. I'm like, damn, you're gonna kick it up like that.
Yeah, man.
But and before we'll go.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, I just want to mention the title track for Assassination because we're New York guys. Put it on Bullet and Put It on Your Brain had to be an Eric B. and Rakim nod, right?
Of course it was.
All right,
totally.
Just making sure.
Totally.
All right, so
that was a Rakim bar, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's the type of the Easter eggs that we appreciate for sure.
Yeah, that's from Juice.
Yeah, of course. You want to do the next one?
Yeah, we'll jump to the next one. Next song is "The Long Way." First of all, who produced the beat? It's one of the best.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
Thanks. You know what? Mellow Music, the owner of Mellow Music, like literally when I sent it in, he's like, "This is my personal favorite." I'm like, that is interesting because it speaks to a lot of people. I mean, not that I'm surprised. I mean, I really love it myself, but it's funny because a lot of people gravitate towards that record. And so anyway, yeah. With that being said, my PA Dre, man, he does a lot of stuff for RJ Payne. I didn't even know that when I came across him, but he's just dope, man. And he's based in Sacramento, so I thought he was like,
PA,
Philly or something, Pennsylvania or something. But no, that's his name. But he's really dope, man. And just first of all, Everlast is a LA legend, but a world legend.
For sure. We actually emailed him.
We're trying.
We know someone who knows somebody, but
not easy.
Oh man, trust me, I'm trying to get him for the video, and he is. He's definitely gonna do it. He's a G, man. He's just an awesome. Like, I was always acquainted with Everlast, but really, probably in the past 3 years have I really gotten to know him more and more. And it's all this crazy shit that we sat together. Like, that song is every song is organic, but that song is extremely much more because of how how it was created. I went over to his crib, and Divine Styler was there and then
legend.
I found Divine taught Everlast how to rap.
Yeah, Rhyme Syndicate. Listen, they just did War Porn Industries is probably the best record of 2017.
Yeah, man.
What Divine?
It could have been better because I was begging it. I was like, let me get on that album.
Seriously. Yo, he cut up Dazed and Confused by Led Zeppelin so good. And
Yeah,
Sick
man.
Jackin' is a goddamn legend, underrated.
Oh man,
That record,
so dope.
Is that how you met Everlast, through Divine Styler?
Well, no, I knew Everlast independently through my homeboy Kalani on Soul on Ice. That's the guy I pour out the liquor for before Marinade.
Okay.
I mean, before anything goes. And but Divine and Everlast obviously were homies hanging. I would just see Divine through my homie Kalani. I was like a stupid kid. I was like 14. But when I went over, I would see Divine, in recent years with Everlast, but I thought maybe they met recently. I was young. I was like 14 and doing dumb shit and whatever, looking up to those dudes. Honestly, I was looking up to them. I didn't think we'd be peers or talking and homies and shit. So when I went to Everlast's crib, naturally Divine was over there, but we started talking. And that's where Everlast was like, oh shit, Kalani, you used to be, you was like the stupid kids with the 40 bottles and shit fighting in the club. Like, yeah, that was us. And blah, blah, blah. And it came full circle. And then we were talking about the Red Giant of Kandahar and all, whatever, just super conspiracy. I was like, it was hilarious. And literally organically, that's how, like, we were trying to come up with a beat or whatever. And then the ironic part is I went home, P.A. Dre sent some beats, and I was like, this is what we were talking about yesterday. I was like, this is the beat for the soundtrack from yesterday. And I just went in, I wrote it fast, laid it, and put the hook on it, and was like, I think this is it. And he was like, that's it. This is it.
It just had that like total Diggable Planets like feel to it,
Yeah, man, and he killed it.
Loved it. My favorite beat on the record. So let's do Guns N' Roses, which features Styles P and Lil Fame, obviously two East Coast legends. And I'm gonna say, good to see you working with Styles, because one of the first Ras Kass songs I've ever heard was a song called Oral Sex. It was on the And One comp, and one of the lines, I wrote it down here, says, "A kiss from a rose, nah, more like a peck from Jada."
Even with the Spectator.
Yeah, first of all, the bars on that, this guy is like breaking down molecular. I don't know. The shit you say on that was like when Gift of Gab did the fucking periodic table and the fucking alphabet. It was just on that level. But so, what is your relationship now with like New York? I mean, these are two guys. You seem to always get a lot of love here.
I get a lot of love in the city, man. I, it's second home. It always will be. I've lived, even up until very recently, spending, living in New York, and I'm probably going to move back again. I love the city.
Part two.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, it's just, my group is there, JMO Gang.
Okay.
Just a lot of, my A-Lites, my friend YSP. Yeah, man. I love the city. I think my speed sometimes, and obviously lyrically, it's always been the home where they're like, yeah, you're like us. Come over here. I'm like, all right, fuck it, let's go in. So I love the city.
Okay, cool.
Let's get into LL Cool J featuring Snoop. I can't recall another time that you worked with him, which is kind of weird because considering the Dr. Dre connection. That's the only time you worked with him, right? Am I right about that?
Well, with this record?
No, just
a song in general.
Yeah, Snoop.
No. David Banner had a song about 2-3 years ago called Californication.
You're right.
And it's
Game.
Well, he actually just talks on the end of it, so that which is fine. Who actually raps on the record is David Banner, Snoop Dogg, Nipsey Hussle, myself, and a dude named Cree sings the hook. So I wrote that entire record because it had to be a linear story, so we couldn't afford for everybody to to come up. It wasn't like a posse cut, it was a narrative, and so one person had to narrate it. So I wrote that. So me and Dog did that record together. I feel like we've done something else before that maybe just didn't come out, like just recording at his crib or whatever. Because he has a pretty open door policy. He'd be like, cuz do that. It's kind of if it fits, it fits. If it don't. So, but as far as things that actually released, yeah, Californication, and then and then this one for me.
We actually just saw you. So I watched Hip Hop Evolution on Netflix, and we watched the episode with Freestyle Fellowship. And so you were on there, and then Snoop was on there. Exhibit, and everyone just propping, of course, Freestyle Fellowship, AC Alone and all that other stuff. We're not too familiar with them too much. I had one of their albums. I feel like somewhere along the way, Hieroglyphics and Souls of Mischief kind of stole me away from them. I don't know. It seemed like maybe Freestyle was a little bit more regional as far as like.
I think they were just a lot more eclectic. They were definitely. What I realized is that they were really jazz MC. The crazy shit is that they could freestyle that fast, those patterns, but they were doing like, Miles Davis horn solos and shit lyrically. That's what they were doing, and so it just probably was a harder digest than, than something that they didn't necessarily always pick the most boom bap-ish hip hop beats at a time when. That was definitely what people were programmed and wanted to hear. They were definitely about the lyrics and showcasing the creativity. But yeah, legendary group, man, very legendary in LA, and a lot of, arguably, a lot of people were influenced around the country with their flow. And I would say Midwest, a lot of the Midwest MCs, that flow is really the Midwest that was highly influenced by their delivery.
That's an interesting take, because I never thought of that. One of the things that they talked about, which I never really, it just didn't come to me, but like there was the so-called gangster rap movement, and people that didn't really fit in there. I guess they were looking for something different. But out of curiosity, for like a young kid like you growing up, Carson, right, what you said was like a town over from,
from Watts. From Compton.
So, like, you're a kid, and like I know what it was like when I first heard 36 Chambers. Like when I heard Protect Your Neck on the East Coast, I'm like, this is wild. What was it like being a kid and like hearing straight out of Compton?
Oh man, that shit fucking. It just gave it a name. It gave it a face. Like. When I heard "Fuck the Police," and I was just like, my dad was LAPD, and I was just like, what?
George's dad too.
It's NYPD.
And for me, I was just like, first of all, can you say that? Is that allowed? Like, they don't let you say that. You can't say that. And then it's like, oh wow, they said it, and everybody, and I'm. It was a movement, man. It's probably how people felt when the Beatles came to America or something. Like I was just like, it's just a force in and of itself. It's lightning in a bottle. You could fight it if you wanted to. You just were not going to be able to. It fucked everybody up, and it's amazing to be a fly on the wall to watch some of that shit.
We felt it here. Like I was like 10. I was 10 when that record came out. And the same time as for us, It Takes a Nation. So listening to those two records, because we grew up, like I'm a metal kid. I'm like I play guitar. But those two records in particular, when I was listening to stuff, it was like more punk than a lot of the punk shit we were listening to.
Right. Well, it was rebel music, and that's what punk shit is, and metal shit, and it's rebel, it's rebellion theme music, and that's what it was. The LA interpretation of rebel music, being angry and saying, we're mad and we ain't gonna take it anymore. So,
but also shout out to the one before, Ice-T. 6 a.m. His 2 new songs, amazing. Like
amazing, man.
Like Feds in My Rear View and Too Old for he's back. I love Body Count, but I love that home invasion.
When Ice is rhyming,
yeah, man, for sure.
I love Feds in My Rear View, that video, because I'm lucky enough that he, he tags me before it comes out and like sends it to me, or whatever, and I'm sure other people. But I'm like, yeah, I get the fucking advanced text of the video
That
and shit
beat,
like that.
the beat,
Yeah,
he
man.
goes hard on that. But
He's killing it. Well, it's a trilogy, so he's doing the same as me, and it's so cool. Like, he's Ice-T, honorable mention. Just he's one of the no, he may be the first artist rapper from LA to ever invite me to the studio. He didn't have to. I was a kid. I didn't even have a record deal. He just saw my talent and wanted to cultivate it and would invite me, to the studio. And LA is kind of like Brooklyn. We don't trust no fucking body. We're just like, nah, are you gonna try to kill me or something? Why the fuck would you let me have something for nothing? Get out of here, dude. I don't trust you. But it's like, to this word, just a really genuine. He's a gangster. He's a gangster and a gentleman for real.
He's one of those dudes like like I was listening to Early Drink Champs, the podcast, which you were on, of course. But he did an episode, and you could just tell, like, even if you don't know him personally, like, you can get. It was like one of the first episodes that, like, I guess no one else talked except for Ice-T, so it was like the Ice-T show, where he just, like, you could tell, like, don't, even to this day, Ice is the coolest shit. Don't fuck with him.
Don't underestimate him.
He's like it's cliche to say real G, but like I got that vibe. Like he
real
really
G. Is, man. I gangster and a gentleman. That's the best way I can explain him. And he even to this day, man, like, I can call him for advice. He's the closest thing I would say I've had to a mentor. I still kind of tell him, like, you still gotta be my mentor. I need some help, motherfucker. So, give me some advice, motherfucker. You obviously doing it right. Shit.
All right, so we're gonna go back to Soul on Ice, and
don't worry.
We have Trap Music Part 1 and 2, which is like, all right. So I'm trying to understand the concept to it, but I'll let you explain it. But what I really like about this is your son, Taj, one of the twins, is he sings the hook. And I think it's kind of like a trip, because you're his dad, but like you're still, Ras Kass. You're up on social medias. You're your
rapper's favorite rapper.
Your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. Like, what's it like growing up in a land of like social media, where I'm sure you see like your kids grow up and the music that they listen to?
Of course, yeah, man. Well, all right. So these are. First of all, it shouldn't be part 1 and 2. It should be a thing. So they kind of, this is where we made a mistake, or maybe it's how iTunes does things. They should be together. It shouldn't be it's trapped music.
Yep.
And it should just be trapped music. And so we did a couple of creative things, and then I guess maybe digitally they didn't know how to fix that, and so they broke it into 2 just for BDS purposes. And when people, maybe if radio wanted to play 1 or 2, that was supposed to be only for like if somebody only wanted to play one particular song. So it should be all connected for 1. It shouldn't be part 1 and 2. The point of the record was, all right, the first half of it is me giving it's on my terms, kind of, sort of. That's the way I approached it. It's a to me, it's kind of a classic, what I would think of like Kanye when he wasn't completely crazy, that kind of production, right?
When was that?
And so the hook is, I heard they trap it to the oldies. I don't want to hear no song about living wrong. It's all about getting on, pushing those Z's. I heard they trap it to the oldies. If you born in the 80s, you an OG. So it's saying the kids nowadays would listen to that beat and be like, oh, that's that old school shit. I don't like that shit. That's old stuff. That's OG shit. You like, and then I switch into the modern production.
Yep.
But I have the younger kid saying the same thing I'm saying from his perspective. So that's where Taj comes in. All my life of being real, nigga. All these, Southern imposters claiming they flippos, but he's kind of saying the same thing. And then I go in and I just dismantle that.
Yeah.
I just dismantle, like, you're trapped based on your perception. The old school, quote unquote, is like, oh, I don't like these little niggas. And the little niggas like, yo, I don't like the old niggas. I'm like, well, you're still trapped. And then the whole shit is you may be trapped in your lack of listening, because at the end of the day, it's what somebody's saying. I do love beats, and yeah, I've kind of probably why I've been criticized many times, just like maybe a Nas or a KRS One, is because we don't always find the music, the beat that everybody loves, because we're more concentrated on the craft of the writing and getting these points across.
Interesting. That's an
And
interesting
so
point.
it was a juxtapose of both those beats to make that point.
Because I feel that's really interesting that you mentioned that, because I find myself listening to a lot of like your later records.
Right.
But that's interesting, because like I don't know why I never really thought of it like that, but like the beats are like I feel like you've just been doing a lot of like really interesting beat picking.
Well, I think I mean, honestly, I personally feel that people close their ears, and I got stigmatized just off the first album, and I thought we picked dope beats on the second album, and then Van Gogh was crazy.
Van Gogh definitely, out of the first three, I love the production on Van Gogh.
Yeah, and then we moved into Golden Child, and I had fucking a Kanye beat and all this other shit. So it's just people didn't get a chance to hear, and I got judged off my first album, and then people haven't really taken the time to listen. They just, they just repeat the same phrase that they've heard. Oh yeah, he don't pick the good beats. Like, bro, you haven't even heard shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
you talking about like 19.
I genuinely never heard that actually till you mention it, because like Nas is another one of those, like, like, listen, the first record, second record, but by the third, I was just like, oh, these are, I think more him than anyone. But I could say the same thing about M. Like,
right.
I don't like M's hooks or production, but goddamn, can that guy rap?
Yeah. And I think that's our thing, is that it is a marriage, and I had to understand that. I think I think really what helped me put it in perspective was Apollo, because I would just listen to those beats without nobody rapping on them. You understand what I'm saying? So I was like, yeah, it is a marriage, and I know I want people to understand these lyrics, but you still, trying to find that marriage is important, because the DJs are part of this too, and if they can't play something that's rocking for the crowd, then I've done them an injustice, even if what I said was really dope. So I get it now. It's just, rappers are selfish. So are producers. Yeah. I mean, it's true. We like, I said this, I forgot who I said it to. I'm sure I was talking to rappers. And I was like, bro, do you realize that people fly us around the world for me to tell you my opinion, and then I expect you to give me money for that? Totally hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm like, really, bro? Like, who really thought that would be a job? Like, give me money so I can tell you what I think.
How are the the overseas markets like for like touring?
Oh man, hip hop is I always say it, hip hop is alive and well all throughout the world. This is the deadest place it's at. Just so you know,
well,
America's
America's
dead.
You mentioned it on Ghosted, critically acclaimed, commercially banned, no American fans, but still matter to my niggas in France.
Right.
And
right.
So that's pretty deep, man. Like pretty. It's one of those things where you listen to it, and but I mean, I don't know, like what changed, like the internet, like the landscape. I don't know.
It's always been better in Europe.
I don't really have the answer to solve it. I would guesstimate that it had more to do with corporations. It's just an easier sell to who disposable income is 13 to 23-year-old girls. It's specifically white girls, and so the music started catering to 13 to 23-year-old white girls.
Shout out to white girls.
I mean, I like them,
No,
but not 13.
no. I completely, I get exactly what you're saying, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's almost like when someone, not listen, I love them, but it's like when someone doesn't listen to hip hop, but their favorite rapper's Eminem. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's weird,
Yeah.
kind
I
of,
mean,
sort of.
it's a demographics thing. It's like when you start overly crunching the numbers, and you're whatever, you're KFC, and you're like, well, we could fit these many birds if we inject them with this and put them in a 2x2 cage, but they'll never fly, and then probably now they've got pus growing out, so now we got to shoot them with more antibiotics. But we'll save so much more money because we can make them fatter. We can shoot them with the hormone and the antibiotic, but you start losing quality for quantity. So,
oh, sorry, guys.
Companies realize that if we make, if we can take a very not talented person and create a star, we can control the star.
Cool. All right. So let's bring up Gingivitis. So Gingivitis features your group. All right. So the group is called JMO Gang. And you're no stranger to a group. I think you did Horseman, which was Killa Priest,
Corrupt and Cannabis.
Okay, exactly. And then same thing, Golden State Warriors, which I believe was Exhibit and Saphir.
Correct.
Okay. Yep. So when you start doing like a group, what's the difference? Because like let's say two of you want to do a beat and let's say the third guy doesn't like that beat. Like what are the dynamics that are different from a solo to a group?
You get outvoted, and that's
that's true. All right.
So it's a true democracy. When I'm doing my music, I don't have to listen to nobody. I do what the fuck I want to do. Period. When you're in a group, you have to be humbled enough to say, you know what, if you guys think this is the best thing, then I'm a team player and I'll do it, even if I don't want to. So yeah, I mean, it just teaches you. Like honestly, we've never been able to get a group. For one reason or another, I've never been able to get a release from any of the groups that I've had. Well, we haven't. We were never able because of one reason or another. Like the first time with Golden State, honestly, it was Capitol Records. It was they fucked that deal up. They just got greedy because they saw Exhibit was platinum and then they wanted all kind of stuff. So that was unfortunate. The corporation ruined an opportunity that they didn't create. Exhibit, created that opportunity himself and then pulled me in, and it was just very unfortunate. But with this one, with JMO Gang, same thing. I try to only, I pick my friends, period. Like I didn't come into rap to be friends with everybody, but some people you like and you get along with. And so I genuinely really, I care about humanly and for the most part, like a lot everybody that I was in a group with. Some of us don't see eye to eye more than others or whatever, but in general, everybody's like, we're still all brothers and friends. With JMO Gang, a lot easier because me and God are pretty freaking close. And then J57 is just totally awesome, easy peasy. So we, we've been on the road together and we rarely argue. And yeah, man, it goes a long way. Like EPMD broke up and it's only two of them, for a while. Like
that is true.
It's hard. It's hard to be in a group.
Who gets to pick the music in the car when you guys tour?
Well, last time, we did Canada. We did like 10 cities in Canada. I'm smart. I bring my own headphones and I do me. But they were, because they're like, one's from Brooklyn, one's from Long Island.
Oh shit, that's where we're from, Long Island.
Yeah, they're two Italian boys, so they might get on their fucking. They'll get on some real fucking.
Billy Joel.
Yeah, Billy Joel.
No, not Billy Joel. What do they call it? Hair metal.
Oh shit! Yeah. I fuck with that. George doesn't. George's too hard.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not adverse to it. I like all music, but after 5 hours in the car. I'm like, really, bro? But I have headphones, so I could just zone out, and I'm probably watching,
Yo,
I'll be watching fucking Seinfeld or some shit with the headphones. So I've learned how to weave in and out of it. But no, they're good, man. They're good people.
what are some random shit that I mean, listen, you're such a lyricist, so much so that you made a book out of the lyrics for this album. What are some lyricists outside of hip hop that have influenced you? Anyone you could think of besides Billy Joel?
I can't think of anybody specifically. I mean, yeah, of course, Jim Morrison. Prince is crazy. His pen game was crazy. I was just listening to, and I know the song, but I actually was paying attention to it. What's his name from Queen?
Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury. Yeah. Mercury was nasty. What is his name? The hook was just crazy. Last night I saw your girlfriend that looked like your boyfriend.
Oh yeah. Killers. Yeah. Somebody told me.
Great fucking. I know the song, but I've heard it many times, but I listened. I was like, fucking brilliant. I love that.
Listen,
so yeah,
Raz, let me tell you, that's one of my favorite albums of all time. It's a fucking great record, man. And that band, the Killers, they write stadium songs, which is I would imagine very hard to do. They do Mr. Brightside, they'll do that song, and they do like a couple other ones. And like to have a fucking stadium singing your fucking song, like
it's like what Queen did.
It's what Queen did,
right?
Sure.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Queen knew how to make stadium records. That's a whole different design.
It is.
Yeah, for it not to come off as contrived. You have to be really good. Yeah.
And just out of curiosity, since we're on lyricists, like in the last couple of years, like anyone, any MCs that you got your eye on, or like even like older dudes that are still killing it, like one or two.
Yeah, man. I mean, I salute everybody. There's so much talent out here, man. The one thing I've been saying, because I hate like picking one person because then it negates everybody else.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be able to name everybody who's. I
just meant more like releases, like albums.
Oh well, I mean, I don't want to keep harping and picking the same person, so I'm not going to do that either. But
Freddie Mercury raps.
I will say 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, great years in hip hop. People are making fucking dynamic albums. People are really like, I'm just hearing people shit like, bro, you did it. Fuck it, I'll shout one out, Scarface. That shit was his album was incredible. His ear for picking singers for hooks, like he's got it. And he's basically retired right now. He's like running for public office and shit.
Yeah.
Shouts out, fucking Scarface.
I like you use the Ghetto Boys on a hook. I like that too.
I'm a fan, and the hilarious shit is he called me. What did he call me about? Oh, he called me for Shark Week, and that's because I wanted him to hear it because he wrote that for rest in peace for Bill. So I used the Bill scratch. And then I was like, I don't know if Face heard this shit. I just want him to hear it because it's an old, I'm a fan. He called me, which is awesome. He's just like, you motherfucker, you trying to make me get out of retirement.
Yeah.
Huh? I'm like, I was like, that's all I wanted was for you to fucking tell me I'm dope. Thank you.
And that's it for like somebody like you who's, like, listen, we could say it all day long. Like just your peers are the ones. Like fans are great, but man, like to have Scarface or like other people to hear something like Shark Week and they're like, damn, you got him on this one. Like that's just got to be great still to this day.
I'm a fan first, and this music has given me a journey, a career, introduced me to a lot of my friends. Who knows? Maybe it'll introduce me to my wife. Who knows? But as a fan first, to have KRS-One, talk to me, ask me to rap on stuff like Give Me Advice, Ice-T, just so many people, man. Just to have them say like, "Wow, bro, like fuck, okay, you are something else." Like I didn't see that coming. Like that's amazing. I'm like, well, you're fucking amazing. So thanks, because that's what I needed to hear.
That's it.
That'll if I don't get the Grammy, that's the Grammy. That's the fucking skill Grammy. So I love it.
Yeah, I'll liken it real quick to the Ramones. Like, so the Ramones, somebody said the Ramones didn't sell as many albums, but they influenced everyone. And it's like they made history by what they did. So
as a legacy.
Let's do the last two.
Okay, let's see. We're up to Can You Feel It?
Yep.
Featuring Pete Rock. I guess you can't have Soul on Ice 2 without having Pete Rock on it. How'd you meet Pete?
Oh shit! I met Pete long ago. I can't even remember. I mean, I just feel like I've always kind of been acquainted with him. I feel like in the past few years we've gotten like, developing a friendship and a rapport. I've always been a fan. We've done a few records like where I rhymed on something that he produced or whatever, but I didn't develop my rapport with him until, like I said, the past few years, man. And it's just he's such a brilliant dude. He's very savvy about certain things. So like it was really cool. Just I was asking him like, like I was getting tips from him on just my my social media game. Like he's just savvy and illmatic, man. It's just really dope to have to develop. 20 years later, I'm still developing relationships with people I'm a fan of, and that blows my mind.
Yeah, that's heavy, man, for sure. I mean, and T. Roy is probably arguably the greatest hip hop beat of all time. So,
of course.
All right, so let's do technically the last song on the record. For someone like me, I've been clean for 21 years, but this record is heavy. Opioid Crisis. Once again, it's one of these elephant whisperer scenarios. And
right.
Chappelle recently slightly made a joke about the topic, comparing the opioid epidemic.
You know what? I felt like lightning struck at the same place, twice, at the same time. Like a lot of the things Chappelle talked about are topics that I dealt with on this album. Yeah. And I was just like, wow, I think he's brilliant, and it's like Chappelle has the success because he makes you laugh. And then I'm like, I just make you mad at me because I'm like, hey, you ever thought about the fact that you do this and then I do that, and we're both kind of fucked up, and this is that, whatever. And so I Chappelle's shit is brilliant. But for me, I suppose, I contrast. I'm like, yeah, the hook says it all. White drug addiction, we get jail. Black drug addiction, we get jailed for our vices. They cry for treatment when it happened to the white kids. Yeah. We're on drugs or opioid crisis. Big Pharma killed more Americans than ISIS. It's true. And the FDA is El Chapo. They the drug dealers, drugstores on every block, yo. The Wayne Weed, Walmart, whatever. Rite Aid, Walmart, Walgreens, the Wayne Reed, heroin in your mainstream. So yeah, it just sums up like the hypocrisy of America. Like, black guy, he's an animal. Brown guy, he's an animal. There was the one politician that basically said that all the Mexicans have calves the size of fucking grapefruits because they carry 100 pounds of drugs on their back. And meanwhile, then when Timmy does it, and the crazier thing about that is the lack of empathy and humanity that this country has for people.
I think that's the top thing too. Like
well, that's what I'm trying to point out. That's what all these songs are about. Mm-hmm. If it happened to your kid or your mother or you, wouldn't you see things a little bit differently if some kid steals? I don't care if the kid steals something out the store. If your kid or your brother, I was an asshole, I ran out and stole stuff. Is that a justification? I don't care if it's $100 worth of stuff. Is that the provocation to shoot a kid in his back and kill him? Mm. It's not. And so we live in a country that obviously doesn't see the value of all human life. It values certain lives more than others. And that's the hypocrisy of America. And we walk around and we normalize that. And I try to make sure that people feel uncomfortable that it's not normal and it's actually evil.
Mm. Yeah, well said.
Yeah, man. Hey, that's a heavy record. It's a great closer, and then I feel like, you know, we touched on Ghosted, which was the hidden track. So I mean, once again, that's another one that's a little, like, you go in deep a little bit on that one as well. But man, what a record.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
What a fucking record. I arguably, like I said, for someone who's been around for 25 years, this might be like the best work that you've done for sure. Like, and that, what was exciting was I wanted to tell you via Instagram. And when you were like, I'd love to do the podcast, I was like, is this guy shitting me? I'm like, of course. I didn't think you were going to say that. I didn't even think you were going to say anything. I just wanted to let you know how, like, I'm like, I just got to tell this guy, cause I think it's fantastic. And George and I have been binging on it. And that's it, man. Right.
Yeah. I mean,
thank you, man. Thank you. If I Ruled the World podcast, I'm very, very grateful, man. Appreciate you.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna wrap up here.
One more question.
Oh, that's right. The name of the podcast.
Yeah.
Duh. Go ahead.
All right. So name of the podcast is If I Ruled the World. So we ask every guest the same question. So if you ruled the world, what would that look like?
Ooh. Equal pay for women.
Okay.
Merit based, but every child gets, every child gets an opportunity and a do over. You fuck up once, you go. Maybe I'll send you off to, something like a little summer camp for a year, like fuck off camp. Like, oh, you fucked off. You want to go fuck off? Just go fuck off over here for a year. And then when you're ready to get it together, you can go back to college or whatever you need to do. And then we cut you off at like 23. Like, now you got to like have a job. Like, you got to do something.
Right.
And then let's see. There's a cap on wealth. I would cap wealth.
Okay.
There's no reason to have $1 billion when people are starving. I would have a cap at probably about, I think 40 million is cool. Like, you good, bro. Let somebody else eat.
So a maximum wage, not a minimum wage.
Yeah, there'd be a maximum wage. I just think, it's ridiculous after a certain point. That's about it. I mean, shit, do you. Just, the whole thing about life is, I forgot, it's a revolutionary American hero. He said, your rights end where mine start. So do you, just as long as you don't fuck with nobody else.
Awesome.
Smoke your weed. If you like coke, do coke. If you like meth, just don't rob people's shit. If you want to be a meth village, you can do that. Don't touch babies. Don't rape. If you kill, then we probably won't kill you, but we're definitely gonna, put you somewhere uncomfortable. But we're still gonna feed you. We're not gonna dehumanize you, but it'd probably be like a glass prison so you can see everybody else having fun. You hate yourself.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, Ras Kass, If I Rule the World. There you go. Yo, thank you so much for doing it.
No worries. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
If I ruled the world, I love 'em, baby.